Yeah.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Afternoon Market Action. My name is Glenn Tompkins, Senior Instructor here at VectorVest, and it's also Western Wednesday. Yes, I have my cowboy boots on. I got my black jeans on. And if you can hear me, by all means, please respond in the affirmative, preferably with VV Nation in the chat to let me know that I am coming across loud and clear. Interesting. Greg says this is the best part of his day. Man, that is awesome. I love that. I definitely love that. That you guys come and support the channel and it says this is the best part of your day. So, with that being said, we're going to let some people get up into the room before we get started. The alert is set. I checked it, make sure it was good to go. We'll wait. And remember, when they come in, move to the front of the room. Move to the front of the room so that the people that are coming in have absolutely room to get in. Do you see the Technoglass secondary offering 2 million shares as a concern? I don't know if they need to, William, raise money. I think that they're rocking and rolling. I don't know if I see it as a concern. The only thing that I see as a concern for TGLS is that it's been on the roll. All right, and at some point in time, what goes up must come down. So that is my only concern in regards to that. I don't think that the $2 million, the 2 million shares is. It looks like they're just raising capital. Greg says, "Hey, cowboy, Anwar is here as well. We got 35 people and waiting just a little bit more to the big bump hits before we get started." So no, again, companies like Technoglass, companies like Tio, been on a tear for the last few days, actually last couple of weeks. I'm just, I'm concerned with the big moves on those stocks. People are going to start taking profits. That's my insight when it comes down. I still think it's a hot industry. I think that the building industry is a hot industry. And you know something on TGLS, ride it as long as you can. Just be aware that at some point in time, the people who were in it way early before the stock took the move are waiting for a good opportunity to stop being greedy and take that money off the table. All right, we got 111 people in here. This is the time where I want to reach out to everybody in the room. This is where you get to help support the channel just a little bit more live. Joey's going to put a link up in the chat. Share the link for the live stream on your social circles, whether it be Facebook, whether it be Twitter, whether it be Instagram. Invite your friends to the channel with the information that we give. It could be, if it's useful to you because you come, it could be useful to your friends as well. All right, just let them come. I'll do all of the work. You just need to invite them into the chat. So Joey put the link up in there already. Click on that link, share that link for me. Let's get 300 people or more into the room. The only way that happens is with you. All right, so market. All right, so now let me ask a question. Who pushed the elevator button on the market today? All right, Jake says, I invited Jay. He won't come. He'll be here. Who pushed the up button, the elevator button on the market today? I don't know what happened around the 10 o'clock time frame, but the market is taking off like nobody's business. Right now, we got one green light in the color guard pricing column, sprinkled in with a few red, but the predominant color. Was it Target? Thank you, Jose. Did Target make all of this move happen? Big gap down on TGLS today. Fitz, as I was just talking to William, you got to be careful with it. The stock has gone up a nice amount of bit. And what goes up must come down. Everything legit took off after. Was it really Target? Biden had a talk to who, and who was listening? You know me. It's not about the politics. Okay, it's not about the politics. So I don't know. I think it was the debt talks. Michael says. So did Biden and McCarthy talk today? Williams says is the debt ceiling negotiations. Biden said bye. I don't know if it was the talks, if it was Target. Somebody did something, and the market took off. All of the major indices are just going ballistic today. Every indice, to include the VectorVest composite, is in the green, up at least 1%. So with that, let me bring us into the software. This is the intraday move on the market right now. And again, right about this 10 o'clock time period, let me put the time on here, right around 10:03. This is intraday 1 minute bars on the VectorVest composite. The market just took off. Faint hope clause in effect. Is that what it is, Albert? What's your thought on Wing? I'm not ready for that, Kerry. I will give you an opportunity. We will look at some of your stocks. So now that I saw that, anybody else who puts up any individual stocks, I will not comment on them just quite yet. I will give you an opportunity, Kerry, and everybody else out there to look at some of your stocks today. All right. So hold that for me, Kerry. Hold that for me. Mark says 11:15 press conference. Biden said the talks were going okay. Does that make the market take off if it was just going okay? That's just, hey, I'm asking for a friend. Does that make the market take off like this if it was just going okay? Harry says, shouldn't you add AC companies to your glass steel? You know, you can keep on adding as many industries as you want, and that's fine. I'm not going to be able to hone in on all of them because at some point in time, it's going to be a mishmash of a whole bunch of stocks. I don't disagree with that, but I'm talking about what I see moving now. Those are the industries that I want you to keep your eyes on. Are there going to be other things, Harry, that you can add? Absolutely, absolutely. But I'm probably not going to be able to effectively relay in a cohesive manner more than about 3 or 4. After that, then you start to just, it starts to be rambling. I want you to pay attention to those 4, though. Maybe Joe called the plunge protection team. Wow. Driving as a passenger, says Matthew. I hear you. So, watching this and trading while driving on a road trip to Texas, fear of missing out, making me jump on SMCI. May wait until open. Your take? Again, I'll take a look at some of your stocks and stop. Just listen. Don't be typing while you're driving, Matthew. Be safe. Be safe. All right. So as we start to talk, and as Glenn comes on, what does the market start to do? Everybody's saying, well, Glenn's on right now. And now our market's starting to pull back a little bit. Let's go look at a 3-month view of the graph. Looking at this wedge that we're sitting in, sideways move overall, getting into a consolidation pattern of the wedge. Big open day today, very little wick at the top. And man, I don't know. Let's go see what happens. Kim says, Glenn, you have provided phase 3 bio stocks. Explain how we will know when they may move. So Kim, the whole idea of the phase 3 stocks, of which we're going to talk about today, and we're going to see how the ones that we had last week worked out coming into this week. The whole idea is to have them in your list. All right. So what you do on a daily basis, Kim, look at those graphs. Look to see if the graph is giving you some inclination that it's about to move, whether it's on moving averages, whether it's on breaking out of resistance, whether if it's in a wedge and breaking out of a wedge, whatever technical indicator you want to bring aboard. The whole idea of me bringing the stocks to your attention is so that you have them in a hit list. And now you do your work to see which ones are moving and which ones are not. Does that make sense, Kim? That is how you use those stocks. All right. And I know that not every one of, even though they're all phase 3, not every one of them is going to move up right away. That's why you have them on a hit list. And that's why you watch their graphs on a daily basis to give you some insight as to which ones are starting to move. Schwab making a move today. Schwab, I'll talk about Schwab later. All right. So from a market perspective, that's an overall view of what's going on in the market. We're still in a consolidation pattern. Nice up day in the market today, but we're still in the wedge. We're still overall over the last couple of 2 to 3 weeks, in a sideways move in the market. Keep all of that in check. All right. Big up day today. If you're a little bit more aggressive, take advantage of some stocks. If you had already tightened your stops, some of those stops are probably not kicking in. The stocks are still making you money. That's fine. Don't panic buy and don't panic sell. Just sit tight on a day like today. A couple of positions to pick up if they're moving up is fine, but one day does not make a trend. Let's talk about some news that's moving the market. All right. News moving the market. Change this to web. There we go. Recessions debt ceiling, those are the two main, recession, debt ceiling, inflation, and interest rates. Those are the four main topics that are going on in the market right now. Recession calls keep getting pushed back. So a lot of people still saying that we're not in a recession. I think overall, by way of true definition, we are in a recession, but unemployment is still low. Normally in a recession, you start to get higher unemployment rates, but that's not the case. Giving soft landing believers a hope. On a day like today, a lot of people are still going to sit back and say that the Fed's going to pause. The Fed's going to pause. All right, let's talk about that. Fed Bostic says hard part still ahead if inflation is stubborn. All right, Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta President Raphael Bostic and his Chicago counterpart Austin Goolsbee voiced optimism they could achieve a soft landing for the U.S. economy. But Bostic warned officials will face a stern test if it turns out they are wrong. And this is one of those times where the Fed doesn't want to get it wrong again, like they said about transitory inflation. I don't think they want to get caught again cutting or pausing too soon and letting inflation rear its ugly head again. Another story. I went out to FactSet. I like this website. I know that we use it in our Friday presentations. Angie Akers talks about FactSet. And as of May 12th, to date, 92% of the companies in the S&P have reported. So we're getting to the end of earnings season, right? What do you see? January, February, March, April, May. At the end of June will be the end of reporting. But 92% of the companies that have reported, of these companies, 78% have reported actual EPS above the mean EPS estimate, which is above the 10-year average of 73%. That still means that companies, for the most part, are meeting or exceeding earnings expectations. Let's step back a little bit. The Fed is raising interest rates to slow the economy down. Is this a sign that the economy still hasn't slowed down enough for the Fed? Companies are still making money. Now, why are they still making money? They're doing creative things to make the bottom line look better, whether it's taking away bonuses, taking away raises, laying off people. Now, the problem is going into the next quarter, they're not going to have a lot of the same benefit of being creative. So what they're doing is they're prolonging the inevitable. That inflation, that interest rates are affecting their abilities to make money. It's going to be very interesting. One of the big things that I talked about last year was that earnings this year was going to play a major role in what's going on. All right. And for the most part, I didn't think that they would still be meeting or exceeding their earnings expectations at this rate at this time of the year. But again, a lot of companies were very creative in what they could do to make sure that the bottom line looks good. It's going to catch up to them at some point in time. All right. Next story. Consumers always pay down credit card debt in first quarter. That means after the holidays, except when they can't. Big story here. The latest New York Fed data showed consumers failed to pay down post-holiday credit card debt in quarter one for the first time in at least a decade. So we've got a video out there about the credit crunch, credit bubble. How many of you have seen that video on our YouTube channel? I did it not too long ago. If Joey can, he may put the link to that video. But the credit bubble is about to happen. Now, you remember 2007 and 2008, it was an issue with credit, but giving out too much credit to people who didn't deserve it. This is a little different. This is a little different in that people are living off of their credit cards because they're finding it hard to live week to week or payday to payday because of high inflation. Jerry says Fed is trying to take down inflation, not earnings. Therefore, earnings is not a factor in the inflation fight, but a casualty of raising interest rates. Did I say that incorrectly, Jerry? Because that's what I meant. I meant that because of the rising interest rates, it's going to affect the company's ability to make money. Now, the rising interest rates are because they're fighting inflation. So in essence, they all are intermingled. Am I not right? Am I not right, Jerry? They're all kind of intermingled. Inflation is high, so they're raising interest rates. As they're raising interest rates, that's affecting companies' ability to create a profit. So if I said it wrong, I apologize, but I think that I was trying to get to the same point that you are at, Jerry. Just the same. All right. In Florida, Joe says in Florida, restaurants are full and traffic is thick. To me, the Fed is not anywhere near finished. Bingo. All right. And I've said on more than one occasion that I think this gets worse before it gets better. I think that, man, citizens are resilient right now when it comes down to spending money. Reports still show consumer confidence, consumer spending, not confidence, but consumer spending is still higher than it should be in the current market's condition. Very interesting. Again, these are all factors that I think play a role in the Fed to continue to raise interest rates. Just on paper. All right, let's go to the next story. America's biggest source of jobs is cooling off. Now that we talk about jobs, let's scroll down in the story. A growing number of small businesses have hit the brakes on hiring. Do you know what the biggest mode of business was during COVID? All right. And the biggest mode of new business was entrepreneurship because people couldn't work at work because of the virus. So a lot of people went out on their own. And I think that was the biggest boom we've ever had as far as new entrepreneurs. Well, now a lot of these people are closing down. The portion of small business owners who expect to expand their workforce over the next year was below 50% for the second month in a row in May, hitting the lowest level since June 2020. When was that? COVID. During the early months of the COVID-19 pandemic, according to a recent survey conducted for the Wall Street Journal. So a lot of people didn't want to work for the man. And the man could be anybody. Didn't want to work for the man, high fire blazer. And they wanted to go out on their own. They wanted to do their own thing. And you know something? There's nothing wrong with that. And during COVID, while people were at home, they were doing business from home, and it was booming. Well, now because of inflation, which causes the high inflation, which causes the rate of increase in interest rates, making it tougher for the small businesses to borrow money, to do business. So a lot of those entrepreneurs that was booming back in the COVID stages are starting to fall off now. That's a big hit in the business side. And a lot of these people weren't part of the job roles when we were looking at unemployment. They weren't effectively looking. They were employed, but they were self-employed. Very interesting. Okay. Next story. Western Alliance Bank Corp. And this is, a bank that was under some scrutiny. Deposits growth sparks rally in bank stocks. Story is Western Alliance Bank Corp. Triggered gains in beaten up regional bank stocks on Wednesday after it said its deposit has grown by $2 billion during the second quarter. Now, my question is, who turned around and wanted to put their money back into Western Alliance? Interesting. Said about half of its $50 billion in deposits, up from $47 billion as of March 31st, according to a filing on Tuesday. Jumped 12.7 midday, while other bank stocks have been under pressure since Silicon Valley collapse. And there's PacWest, Zion, First Horizon, Comerica, and PNC all being the beneficiary of banks moving up. How many of you feel warm and fuzzy about the banks now? Type of 1. How many of you still think that there's still more to come with the regional banks? Type of 2. All right, if you think you feel warm and fuzzy based on this news, type of 1. If you still think that there's more to come that's still hidden around the corner, let me look around that corner. Looking around that corner, how many of you feel this, that That's about to happen. All right, commercial loans poses losses pending. I agree, Jeff. I totally agree with you. They're not. This is not done yet. So this is one day. This is news. That one bank grew in deposits, and the other bank said, "Yeah, come on, let's jump on board." Be careful in this space. All right, banks are undervalued, and that's fine. That's fine. They've been beaten up. That's fine. But I'm not sure if I feel warm and fuzzy based upon people still haven't reported. Maybe next quarter, some of these banks are going to start reporting because interest rates are so high on the money you have up there. All right, so I'm going to put in, this one is Western Alliance. I'm going to put I'm going to put a Western Alliance. Let's go to my, let's go to the software. Let's go to the viewers. Let's go start building this. Start building this. I think it's WAL, Western Alliance. Yep, Western Alliance. Let's go see what's only stock in the list right now. As we look at the story, we're going to put the stock in the watch list. It's still a sell recommended stock. Nicely up today. Does have some good upside potential. Relative safety still below 1. Still growing their earnings at 16%. What's hurting it is a lot of the bad news in regards to the banking industry. But own PacWest as a speculative play. Martin, I don't think it's a speculative play. I think it's more of an aggressive play because it does have some upside. Relative value is above 1. If it was more of a speculative play, RV and RS would both be below 1. What's hurting it again, RT is below, and it's a sell recommendation. All right, and like you did say, it is price. It is undervalued. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It is undervalued, Francisco. All right. All right, brace for impacts in Siberia. We'll see. Let's get to the next story. Next story, another bank, UBS expects a $17 billion hit. The bank, and then also they got jacked up from the Credit Suisse rescue. Flags hasty due diligence. All right, so we got one side, news today, another side, again, and expectations going down the line about banks. So UBS, which is a bigger bank, expects a $17 billion hit from the Credit Suisse rescue. Let's go put UBS in the list. Ooh, I'm telling you, baby. And that's why we look at the news, but we look at the analysis. That's why we look at the news, but we look at the analysis. People credit card balances are up. People may default on car loans. They're not going to just be on car loans. It's going to be on car loans. It's going to be on credit cards. It's going to be on homes. All right, the credit crunch is coming. A lot of people are buying now and worrying about it later. That's the operatus modi right now, or the MO, the mode operate, whatever the flying flip it is. That's what's going on right now. All right. Again, there's a lot more hurt to come in the economy that we're just kicking the ball down the road, or the can down the road right now. That was U.S. Bancorp. Type UBS. What's UBS? Why am I typing UBS? UBS. I don't want UBS. I want it US. I want it US Bancorp. All right, modus operandi. Thank you, Jerry. I know it was something like that. I know it was something like that. All right, let's go to the next story. What else is up in here? Google. I like this story. How Google took back the narrative around AI. So everybody's been all about OpenAI, ChatGPT. Investors found the BARD event held for some mystery. Blah, 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 blah. They had the BARD thing to go after ChatGPT. It wasn't so good. In the days following the Bing announcement, shares of Alphabet plunged 12%. But now the tables have turned. This past week at a Google I/O developers conference in Mountain View, California, Google was back with another round of demos and announcements about artificial intelligence, and this time the company got it right. So it looks like right now Google just took that narrative back. We don't believe there will be only one AI winner. Evercore ISI man Mark Mahaney wrote in a research following the Google event. So the big guys out there are ChatGPT, which is OpenAI, which Microsoft put $12 billion into an investment into them. All right, now Google is trying to get back on track. Of course, you got C3 AI. You got a lot of AI companies that are out there that are going after this space. But this story says Google may be the leader. But wait a minute. ChatGPT, Sam Altman is in front of Congress right now. The chief executive of the ChatGPT creator OpenAI called on Congress to create licensing and safety standards for advanced artificial intelligence. So as much as I love this space, I think some kind of regulation needs to be put out. Now, what does that regulation look like? I don't know. I think that they're trying to put and piece together what they think the regulation should look like. Folks, we got about 150 people in the room. Again, it's up to you to get me 300 people in the room. It's up to you. Share that link. Share that link. We understand that people are anxious about how it can engage or change the way we live. We are too, says Sam. At the Senate subcommittee hearing Tuesday, his first appearance before Congress, if this technology goes wrong, and this is important, if this technology goes wrong, it can go quite wrong. That's an interesting statement from the guy who's the CEO of the company that's out there ahead of the game. They're a private company. OpenAI, Microsoft put the investment into them. Robert says, even if Google is not the leader, it could easily buy the competition. I like Microsoft and Google long-term for AI. I agree with you. I like the Microsoft from the AI. I like anybody who can get a good foothold in this space because I think it's a space that is not going away. It is not going away. All right, so let's go put Google in my list. Let's go put in GOOGL. Put Google in there. Where does that sit now? It's number one in the list by VST. Fundamentally sound, growing their earnings only at a clip of 4%, but our RV is below 1. So I thought they were both above. RV is below 1, but it's a safe stock that continues to make money. All right, and it's the only buy in the list right now. Let's go to the next list, next stock. There it is, Target. Target. How many of you are like me and like a lot of other people and call it Target? Type a 1 in the room if you call it Target. I don't know where that came from. It ain't even French. It ain't even French. But people, how many of you call it Target? I do as well. Target sets cautious tone as consumers turn thrifty. So even if you say that Target was the big mover of the market, they put out a cautious tone. They did put out a cautious tone that consumers were cutting back. So I'm not sure that was what moved the market, because it was like, yeah, it was good, but all right. Boston says only when I'm feeling fancy, like Fabergé. Fireblazer, Fabergé. All right, so let's go put Target in the list. I don't think it was the big move in the market today, but especially if they are being a little bit more cautious in the move. So this is the fourth stock in the list right now. It's number 3 in the list as far as VST. All right, let's go to the next list, next stock in the list. Here's earnings. Tencent posts fastest jump in quarterly revenue in more than a year after China reopens. People have been saying that China's reopening is going to rock and roll the market. It's been taking a long time for China to reopen. I don't know why it took so long to open it. Anyway, the results mark a strong bounce back in the growth for Tencent after a succession of negative to flat quarters. Tencent said its gaming business benefited for a return to growth in domestic game sales, while payment volumes saw an accelerated increase after China's reopening. All right. So let's go put in Tencent. Tencent, TECEHY. Or, yep, that's the one I want. All right, let's go see where it sits. It sits number 3 in the list overall out of 5, VST below 1. Only one stock's got a VST above 1 and a buy recommendation. That's Google. I noticed that Tencent has got a negative earnings growth, but a positive earnings. Tio, not ready for that yet. All right, let's go to the next stock, Tesla. What's Tesla in the news for now? Tesla restarts India market talks with new factory proposal back in India. That could be big for them. That could be so big. Tesla has proposed setting up a factory in India to build electric cars for domestic sale and export. The car maker told government officials on Wednesday, according to a source with direct knowledge of the matter. Now, a couple of things about Tesla. Even though I put out a video that Tesla could be in trouble, I've always stated time and time again that I like Tesla long term. But short term, when they decided to cut the price of cars, eating into margin, and he said, I don't care. I want to just lower the price. And he was just trying to price people out of the market. A lot of other companies, a lot of other car companies followed suit to go and take part of this price war. All right, so I still like Tesla long term. I like that he's now got a new CEO in Twitter to get him away from there, to put more of his energy back into Tesla. Recent retail sales report was weak on the clothing, so Target may be slipping. Thank you for that, Jerry. I appreciate that. All right, now I wanted to do a little bit more in regards to Tesla because Steve Chappell and I had a conversation yesterday about Tesla's ability to produce vehicles. All right, so I went to the Tesla main site. They've got 70,000 workers globally, factory space, 30 million. That's a lot of feet. All right. Then I looked at the gigafactories: California, Nevada, New York, Shanghai, Texas, Berlin, possibly something getting ready to happen in India. That's a lot of cars that they can build, right? I look inside, blah, 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 blah. They talk about, I wanted to just look at the website a little bit. All right. So the question was, can the big car companies that have been around a long time, who already have a footprint on being able to manufacture and mass produce cars, could they take Tesla out? Right? Tesla to make a new low-end model in Mexico. Thank you for that also, Eugene. So I went to the GM website. Now, Tesla's been around a lot less time than GM. GM's got 93,000 employees, 23,000 more than Tesla. It's not a lot for a company that's still relatively new in the space. Okay. 120 facilities. Now, that's facilities. I don't know how many of these are like giga factories. We just saw 6 on the Tesla site. A whole bunch of suppliers, vehicles delivered. I was trying to find out from the Tesla site how many vehicles they were putting out on a weekly basis, because I wanted to compare that to GM and what they were putting out on a weekly basis. So the conversation went a little bit like, if GM wanted to, GM could blow Tesla out of the water. I'm not sure I agree with that, because Tesla is so far ahead of the curve in this space. All right. So let me ask this question. Do you think that GM could blow Tesla out of the water as far as EVs? Type of 1 if you think so. Type of 2 if you don't think so. Type of 1 if you think so. Type of 2 if you don't think so. Fitz is right. Product does matter. Now, you would think that just because of the sheer size of GM, that they should be able to blow Tesla out of the water. I'm on the side of 2, because Tesla is uniquely in the business of EVs. GM has combustion engines that are moving over into the EV space, number 1. Number 2, Tesla is becoming more self-sufficient in building their own battery factories, their own lithium factories, and things of the sort, to become a self-sufficient producer in specifically the EV space. All right, so, and then Jeff says, no way, Tesla battery far superior. And again, one of the first things I said is that Tesla is ahead of the curve when it comes down to the EV space. But GM does have the manufacturing capability. I just don't think, again, Steve and I had the conversation. I just don't think that GM could blow Tesla out of the water from that as well. Like Ford, GM will use the ICE to fund their move. What is that? Oh, I don't know. But could GM make any money doing so? That's another great question. When you start to move yourself over from one type of a car and try to now immerse yourself in another type of car, it's going to take years for them to get up to the same spot where Tesla is now. All right. Exactly. Less suppliers, newest factories, best battery. It goes on. I agree with that. So, that's what ICE meant, Fitz. I was like, what the flying flip is that? Will use the ICE to fund their move. And that makes sense. Why not use the combustion engine, the profits from that, to fund the EV space? And I think slowly but surely that's what they're doing. More and more manufacturers are getting into the fact that they're going towards more of the EV space. All right. That was just something that I wanted. That was a little bit of diving that I wanted to take a look at when it comes down to Tesla. All right, let's go put Tesla in the list. Tesla, TSLA. Where does Tesla sit? Number 2, right behind Google. Second stock in the list now with a VST above 1. Pfizer, I'm thinking drug companies are going to start feeling effects of not producing COVID-related drugs anymore because we don't need them. Pfizer, Merck, maybe not Merck, but BioNTech, Moderna, those were the leaders in the vaccines for COVID. I'm thinking that they're going to start feeling the effects of, what do we do, depending on what other drugs they have in the pipeline. Pfizer sells $31 billion of bonds in the fourth largest deal ever. They're selling debt. They're trying to raise that money. They're selling debt. All right, so let's go put Pfizer in the list. PFE. Let's go see where they're sitting in the list. All right, as we continue to build our list, Pfizer's like halfway down the list with a VST below 1. It is fairly valued, and it's for a drug company that's really good. It does make money. It's got relative safety above 1, but look at the earnings growth. Look at the earnings growth is negative, even though earnings is positive. All right. Let's go to the next to last. We got a couple of stories left. I did that one already. Did I do that twice? I think I did. Oh, no. Different stock. Drug maker. This is a stock I want you guys to keep your eyes on. Drug makers eye $23 billion biotech, argenx, ahead of key data. Folks, I don't know exactly what's getting ready to happen with this stock, but a lot of people have their eyes on this stock. ARGX. Have you ever heard of it? Type of 1 if you've heard of it. Type of 1 if you've heard of it. Type of 2 if you've never heard of it. All right. Several major drug makers keen to expand in immunology, have been studying a $23 billion company for some time and have it at the top of their wish list, according to people familiar with the matter. Interest is expected to pick up if results in July show that a key argenx drug already approved for one autoimmune disorder can effectively tackle another disease. The therapy called Vyvgart could eventually generate up to $10 billion in peak sales if approved for all conditions it's being studied for, according to the analyst for Robert W. Barberg. So, a lot of people said no. Good. Let's go put this stock in our list. ARGX. If nothing else, I want you to keep your eye. I love the story. This could be a big winner. This could be a big winner. Notice that as a drug company, it's a very expensive drug. Way, way, way overvalued. This is a speculative play based on news. Type a yes if you understand what I just said. This is a speculative play based on news. Type a yes if you understand what I just said. Because I don't want none of you I don't want none of you to jump up and be like, well, Glenn told me to go buy this stock. Heck no, I didn't say that. The news is very appealing. This stock could jump a lot. I just want it to be in your sights. It ain't cheap. Now, a good way to play this, if you don't want to be spending $412 a share, it does trade options. And there you go, Mark. Mark, I knew that you would do. I knew if you were here, I knew that you would say that. The answer to that question, Mark, is no. I'm not telling none of you to buy it. But if $420, $412 is a little bit expensive for your taste, it does play options. The reason why I made you type in here, because I don't want nobody in here to go run and go tell that, be like, yo, Glenn told me to buy this. I didn't say that. Negative earnings, even though the earnings growth is 20%, earnings on the stock is so not good. All right. Should I sell extra off and buy it? No, Mark. No, Mark. I ain't saying that before you try to get me cancer, man. Why does Tesla have an RV over 1? Long-term fits. I still think it's a good long-term stock. The stock has got the ability to outpace a AAA corporate bond over the next 1 to 3 years. That's what relative value is. Relative value is the stock's ability to outpace the market in a certain time frame. That's why Tesla is a good play. I think that overall, longer term, Tesla's got a great opportunity to outpace the market. All right, so all I want you to do is keep your eyes on that stock. Don't listen to Mark. Mark's trying to get me in trouble. All right, next stock, Disney. Disney may pick up Hulu. I got a bonus video coming out tonight, a bonus 6 p.m. video. We normally don't do a 6 p.m. video on Wednesday. I wanted to do a bonus video for you tonight. It's going to be my top stocks for the summer. Disney's on my list. And Disney's on my list because of this story. Disney's biggest downfall in the last earnings was because of its streaming. So, it looks like they're trying to go after that. It looks like that they're trying to, a possibility, pick up, as you can see here, more eyeballs. So this is a story. It's not done. It's not etched in stone. But I like this story to address a major part of the the earnings picture. The biggest hurt that they had was the streaming. I like this story. All right. I like the story. Energy says, hey everybody, Glenn said, yeah, don't get on that bandwagon with Mark. Don't get on that. Have you covered Exroth and Linamar already? No, I'm not going to cover either one of those. Actually, no, not even in my summer videos. I haven't covered either one of those. Again, I'm not trying to push anybody to that Exroth. I only talk about it when I got news about it. I own a lot of shares of them, so I really don't try to push the stock. All right, Linamar is part of that whole process as well. So that's to answer your question, Energy. All right, so Disney's the last stock on my list for today as far as big news stories. And here we go. Here's my list of all the big news stories. Google's at the top. Disney's at the bottom. But I do have Disney as one of my top stock picks for the summer. People are still going to the parks. They're spending a lot of money because of inflation. They're still spending a lot of money at the parks. Why? Because I think it's on everybody's bucket list to take their kids and their grandkids to Disney World. It's just there. Disney parks are empty and their hotels offer dirt cheap. So Lou, I see otherwise. I see that news-wise. Now, remember, I'm not there in person. And if you are and you've seen that, then that's fine. All I can do is go by the news that I get that shows that people are still at the parks, that people are still paying more money than they really should be. So that's what I got to go by. I haven't personally been to the parks to see. So that's how I address that statement, Lou. All right. But it is still one of my stocks for the summer. We'll see how it works out. All right. So on a big update, these stocks are all going up with the exception of Pfizer. My friends got fired or laid off from Disney. But that's happening all over the workforce. That's not just Disney. That's happening all over the workforce. And again, that's part of the idea to try to make the bottom line look better. They're doing things like laying off so that the earnings look more profitable. At some point in time, that's going to catch up. But I think over the summer, there's going to be a lot of travel going on this summer. And again, that's another reason why I'm thinking that Disney might. We'll see what happens. It's way overvalued. It's not a pristine stock in my list, my summer stocks. But I think it just makes sense with what's going on in the market right now. All right. So those are my hot news stories. We analyzed them all the way down. Man, remember I told you I was going to look for glass stock watch list for you? This is the best that I can get for you. All right. These are spread out in different industries, but TGLS is in here. I've got an ETF, Power Shares, Dynabond, for that space, PKB. Apogee is in the construction side of the fence. In electronics and glass, this is a little bit of a stretch. CRKM, and another stock called VIEW. This is the best that I could do in regards to glass related stocks. I told you I would try to do it, and this is the best that I could come up with. All right, this is the best that I could come up with. And Netflix is the winner as far as streaming. Netflix is still right now wrong. I think you're right as far as streaming is concerned. All right, Glenn's cheap stocks. I got some stocks for you that are inexpensive to keep your eyes on, and they're all up today. I'm gonna graph these stocks, and I've got a layout specifically for tech, and I think I'm in it. GETR tech. Yeah, I got the 3 and the 8. I've got DPO and I've got MACD. TO. What am I on? 1 hour. Let's go put this on a 1 month graph. TO is on the move. It's been on the move. I like the play. For anybody who thinks that it's too late to be in the stock, you could have said that several times along the way while the stock is going up. But it's not parabolic yet. I think there's a nice steady move here following the 3. I like the move. I think that the opportunities are there. I will say that it looks like it could be getting overextended. If you are in the stock right now, I would just be careful. What else is a cheap stock in my list? ENIC, Utility Electric, sitting at $3. I like the techs on it. Stock's price is moving up. I'd like to see it take out that 1 month high. CLRO, a lot more volatile in the move, but the techs are backing it up right now. I'd really like to see more volume based upon this as well. Another stock in the list. I don't know why this made the list. I don't like it. With the 3 and the 8 just cross. Well, I'm not feeling that. I don't like that one. I do like this one coming off a level of support, the 3 and the 8 cross. MACD getting less negative, actually starting to get positive. Where's MACD? MACD, almost positive. I like this play. No wick at the top, nicely moving up. I'm not looking at news on any of these. Chemical specialty, I like the move, and it's cheap. These are all technical plays. DBI coming off a level support. 3-8 cross. MACD still a little negative. Watch that. Again, I like these. I don't like the falling volume here. Very little wick at the top of the candle. I like that play. This is EMAN. Excuse me. Big volume. This is probably news-driven. Was it earnings? It wasn't earnings. Something news-driven pushed this. The 3 and 8 crossed yesterday, followed through today. Big wick to the upside. And MACD does looks positive. Why does all the histogram is just positive. CMRE. Transportation ship coming off support. I like that move. And the MACD just went positive. Mullen is now 312% shorted. Glenn, do you think it's worth looking at? I did a video on messy Mullen not too long ago. I didn't like Mullen when I did the video. I still don't like it now. And it may be shorted. You're thinking about short squeeze. I don't play all of that. Even if it is a short squeeze, it's probably a quick. If it bounces up, it does so for a couple of days. If that's what you're looking for, then you can play the short squeeze. You don't usually hear me ever talk about short squeezes. Overall, the stock is not a good stock. And again, not too long ago, I did a video called Messy Mullen. I did a couple of videos on Mullen. Neither one of them were good videos. All right, when you get a chance, please look at cement, steel, copper stocks. William, I'm going to be looking at your individual stocks. I'm not going to probably look at, those are what ones I want you to keep your eyes on, William. All right, that was my last stock in the cheap. Let's go look at the phase 3 drugs. All right, I subscribe to a site. Somebody asked me by email. I subscribe to a site where I can find the drugs. I'm looking for inexpensive drugs that have phase 3 components associated with them. Let's take this back 1 week. Let's go see if these had any major move. All right, let's do a quick test of all of them. Oof, we got killed. So now, was it you, Kelly? Was it Kelly or Carrie that asked me about knowing when to jump into these stocks? Which one was it? Was it Carrie or Kelly? Type it in the room. Now this comes to fruition. Only one of the stocks went up this week, and that was IFRX, went up 6%. One stock went against me a lot, but all of the other stocks, was it Kim? It was Carrie said. So it was Kim. It was you, Kim? All right. Notice that all of the other stocks, 10% or less against us. Big mover to the downside was ACHV. This is why I want you to have them in your hit list, but watch them. So that was last week. Let's go to this week. And let's look at these. Out of all of these stocks are cheap stocks that have phase 3 components associated with them. Wow, CRVS is on the move. Do I buy that? Well, I make sure I'm 5 cents higher than the high. Let's make sure that the stock is, I already know it's got phase 3 associated with it. I'd look at, buying 5 cents higher than the high. Let's go to the next one. This is leveled out. IMGM, same thing. Gap up today. No, this is the last month. Gapped up, never faded the gap. That's a positive sign. Phase 3 is out there. I'd look at, again, 5 cents higher than the most recent high. Next one. Wow. Rain. Now, today, nice move up, but a lot of give back. That's a bearish signal for me. I do like the above average volume. If I still want to take this because I know that it's phase 3, I'd go 5 cents higher than the high. I'm always making sure that I'm buying into the stock as it's doing what I wanted to do. Notice that all of these 3/8 are still positive for the most part too. Same thing scenario with life. Technically, everything is there. I'd look at 5 cents higher than the high. So Kim, does all of this make sense in regards to knowing when to buy into these stocks? A lot of these stocks are moving up. I like that. Also put into it with the phase 3 information. This is what I'm looking for, Kim. I'm looking for these moves to put in a buy stop order higher than these highs to make sure that I'm buying in as the stock's price is moving up. So Kim, does that make sense? Does the buy help? Does the buy, being a buy does help. I still want, look, it was a buy here. I would still been looking at, in this case, 5 cents higher than the high. Guess what? It never would have come to me. Does that make sense, Kim? It never would have come to me. That's why I look at, when I'm looking, the most recent high, make sure it's going higher than that before I pull the trigger on that. All right. Same thing here. Stock was going up, 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 up. I would be looking at 5 cents higher than the high. Guess what? It never came to me. Now, that doesn't mean that the phase 3 on these stocks won't happen. It'll still happen. At the time that I'm looking to buy them, I'm not ready to buy them yet. All right, we're going to do one other thing. Top VST stocks with a 3/8 crossing over the last 3 days. These are top VST stocks. All of these got good VSTs. A couple of them out of the 6, 4 of them have good CIs. But I'm using the 3/8 as a crossover. Let's graph these real quick. Put these on a 1-month graph. Starting with APLD. I like the move. Tech. Remember, these are top VST stocks that have 3/8 crossovers in the last 3 days. Look at that. I'd wait for this to get out of this little channel, even though it's a top VST stock. That's a bearish sign. That's a little bit of a gravestone doji. I'd be careful with that. I like the move on this TXRH, but it's getting kind of parabolic. Broke through a major level of resistance, getting kind of parabolic. The average volume is there. I'd be careful with that one. I like this one. Analog Devices coming out of a little bit of a channel. 3/8 breaking over the last 3 days. Yeah. MACD. Yeah, I like that. I like that stock. I cannot lie. And the last one is NSIT. Again, a little bit of sideways move. 3/8 broke. Nice open candle. MACD went positive. DPO hasn't gone positive yet, but it's getting there. And so I would keep my eyes on that. All right. The last thing we'll do before we leave is to look at your picks. Now you put your stock picks in. I'm going to take 10. Anwar's already got it. ACGL, that's 1. I'm looking for 10 stocks. How or what do you watch on volume? I want to find increase in volume above average volume, Kim. BT, isn't that a singing group? That's 2. SMCI, that's 3. XRO, really? XRO, that's 4. CDW, that's 5. TSM, that's 6. BMO, that's 7. TXN, that's 8. NVIDIA, that's 9. And my last one is Stellantis, STLA. There's my 10 stocks. Glenn, when stocks, for example, SMCI go up parabolically, how do you know when to jump in? I'd be very careful jumping into a parabolic move on the stock, because that tends to tell me that the stock is going to pull back and pull back hard. So when I'm looking at a stock that's parabolically up, I probably stay away from it. Now, if I still think, let me answer that and give you a second side to that. If I still think that the stock's got some upside, I'm going to still invest. I may invest in it, but with half the money that I would normally put in a position. Does that make sense, Matthew? All right. One side of it says, leave the parabolic stocks alone. The other side of it says, well, you got FOMO, you got fear of missing out. I would invest in there, but with half the money that I would normally put in. Does that make sense, Matthew? All right, does that make sense? Why not just add a tight stop? You can do that. You asked me a question, I gave you an answer, and now you adding to my answer. You can't add to my answer. I gave you my answer. Now you can take my answer, or you can't, or you don't have to take my answer. Why do y'all do that? I gave you an answer, and then you add to my answer. Sigh. All right. I'm done yelling now. I'm done yelling now. But you guys do that. It says, well, you need to do that. I still love you guys, though. Don't get me wrong. I still love you. All right. Now, I'm not sensitive today, Mark. All right. Let's take a look at your stocks. On a big update today, 2 of them are going down. ACGL, Arch Capital, is going down, and XROF. Dang it, I'm in XROF. It's going down. Energy. I was wondering if you saw that XROF signed a definitive. I saw it was a definitive agreement, but it wasn't a purchase order. That's me, Steve, and Ray were talking about that. It's a definitive agreement, sort of like a handshake. What would you rather have, a handshake or purchase order? I'd rather have a purchase order. All right, so we talked about that a couple of days ago when the story first broke. We talked about it yesterday, a couple of days ago. All right. So as we look at all these stocks, of course, the stock that I've owned a billion trillion shares in, XROF, is at the bottom list. Big move to the downside. Not sure why. Just as Energy was talking about, there was some positive news about XROF. I don't know what's pushing it down, but it's hurting my portfolio. I'm not telling anybody to buy it. Okay. SMCI is at the top of the list. With a VST of 1.71. That's one of the highest VSTs, if not the highest in the system. Taiwan Semi, that's also in the chip space. NVIDIA in the chip space. SCMI. Is Texas Instruments is still around? Who? I didn't know they were. PLX. No, Ravi, these are the 10 stocks that I got today, my friend. Who gave me the crypto? That's BTBT. Up 7% today. How many of you are positive? How many of you feel warm and fuzzy about crypto? Type of 1. If you don't ever want to hear the word crypto again, type of 2. That was very extreme. Those are extremes. How many of you feel warm and fuzzy about crypto? Type of 1. How many of you never want to hear the word crypto again? Type of 2. Again, that was very extreme. That was on purpose. That was on purpose. It's either you like it or you hate it. I'm somewhere in the middle. It's one of the few times that I'm in the middle. This is one of the few times that I'm in the middle. I'm not hating it. I'm just not on board with it. But can it have some? I don't know. All right. So there's some people in here that are okay with crypto. As I look at this, overvalued, it's still speculative play. Crypto's been having a little bit of a run up. It's still not out of its crypto winter yet. Still not out of its crypto winter. RT is above 1. Negative earnings growth. I think that tells you the story. Way overvalued, not making money, and not making money on a scale almost at double digits. Look at its 2-year chart. All right, let's go look at BTBT, view the stock graph. I'll put it on a 1-year graph first. 1 year. Okay. It's consumer loans. I don't know how crypto that is. I'm not sure. I don't know enough about it to give you more information. But if I'm looking at the 2-year graph, it's almost 2 years. Man, the stock was trading at $14. And I'm not a big fan of this. I'm not a big fan of crypto anyway. Last 6 months it looks decent. Last 3 months it looks good, decent. Last year, I don't know. I'm putting this back on the 3-month. All right, let's go finish looking at all of these stocks real quick, and then we'll get ready to go. How many likes did we get? Man, I'm spending a little extra time. Make sure you get this up to 100 likes, all right? Especially if you like the content. Hit the like button. SMCI, that's 1 hour. I don't want that. I want 3 months. All right, SMCI, still like it. Not parabolic, but the 3 and 8 looks solid. ACGL, 4 days down, coming to a level of support. If you own this stock, that's your line in the sand right now. It'll be $17.34. Next stock, TSM. This has got fibs on it, I think. Yep, it's got fibs on it. I like the move today. I don't think this was an earnings play. I like the move today, and I like the rising volume on it. Be careful, though. It's shooting up quick. But that may not be a bad play, especially from a tech perspective. I like the move on the stock. CDW, slowly but surely climbing up off of that level of support. The MACD is positive. The DPO is not. RT is not. But I do like the slow, steady move up there. Open candle day, very little wick at the top. Same thing with NVIDIA in the chip space. On semiconductor, man, it's starting to, the semiconductor space is starting to move again. NVIDIA, I think, is a leader. That and TSMC, two big names in the space, but NVIDIA is probably one of the best leaders in the semiconductor space. I do like the move, new 3-month high today. Next one is Stellantis. A lot of the EVs, with the exception of Tesla, are in some kind of a doldrum right now. Be careful with those. A little bit of a channel coming out of falling below a level of support. 3 and 8 haven't crossed. I'd like to see it get out of the way of these levels of resistance. Texas Instrument. Who buys this? Anyway, a stock's coming off a level of support. I do like the 3-8 cross, but big wick at the top, big wick at the bottom, a little of a doji cross. Not quite a doji, but small body movement today. I'd be careful with this. Let me see if the stock can get out of its own way first. Next one, BTBT. I can't argue the tape. The 3-8 cross yesterday, nice open candle today. Smaller wick at the top than at the bottom. Watch the MACD from a technical perspective. It just went from it went a little positive. Just keep your eyes on it. All right, and BMO, Bank of Montreal, right at a level of resistance, sitting at 89.39. Let's see if we can get out of that. The 3-8 cross, little sideways move. Let's see if we can get out of that level of resistance. And the last stock is Exroff. Just looks like poop. Straight poop. All right. With that, I'm done. That's a lot of stocks. We talked about a lot of stocks. I looked at some of your stocks, and we're done. How many likes did we finally get so far before we go? 70 likes. Well, maybe I wasn't appealing enough today. That's all right. I'll take that. I'll take the good with the bad. Take them both, and there you have the facts of life. And it really is the facts of life. Hey, thank you guys for being here. Oh, one last thing. Before we go. I got to talk about this. I had Jim on the other day. Was it yesterday? What's today? Must have been Monday. He's got a webcast tonight, the covered call, what it is and how to trade it. It's going to be tonight at 6 p.m. We missed the 12 o'clock, but I'm going to talk about the one here tonight at 6 p.m. Would be nice if I got back to here. There we go. All right. Joey, I don't know if you need this link. I'll try to put this into the chat. I don't know if this is going to work or not. There's the paste. This is the link for the free webcast tonight. It's one of the most simplest option trades that you can play, called the covered call. Free webcast tonight is what it is and how to trade it. If you want to learn more about it, use that link. Use that link and sign up for it. It's a free webcast. You ain't paying nothing. It's free. If you ever had any inclination of knowing how to understand it and how to play it, go join Jim Penna tonight, 6 p.m. And once you get there, type in VV Nation. Let him know that you came from YouTube. Let him know that you came from YouTube. YouTube, VV Nation, stand up and support him. All right. It is a free webcast on the covered call, what it is and how to trade. All right. With that, now I'm done. Penny, thank you for being here. Are you wearing your cowgirl hat? It's a cowboy hat. So there you go. Thanks. There you go. Greg said earlier that this is the best part of his day, and I appreciate you guys being here for this. All right, I gotta go. Watch the 6 p.m. bonus 6 p.m. video tonight. My hot stocks, my best summer picks. And again, no news on these stocks. A lot of just basic understanding of cyclically what's going on. Adios, arrivederci, ciao, au revoir, sayonara, aloha to all my peeps in Hawaii. Bom dia, salam, shalom, namaste, yasu. Until the next time, folks, see ya.